Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you guys could join us. Today, I want to talk to you about copywriting for email. And it's difficult, especially with email, to separate the content of your text from the design. And in this sense, copywriting means talking about all the language you use to persuade. So my first question to you is, are these the thoughts that haunt your mind when you are writing text? This sounds silly. I don't know what to write. It always sounds better in my head than it does on paper. This is way too long-winded, or it takes me ages to get anything on paper, or this isn't good enough. Know that you're not alone. This is not your fault. No one is teaching you how to do this. There's no magic solution for everyone, but I do want to give you a bunch of tricks and tips today that are specific to the medium of email and how you can structure your work to make writing emails a lot easier. So let's dive in. I am Michelle. I am a business and product lead at Flexmail. I started with Flexmail in 2011 in the marketing team, and now I had all the commercial activities and product activities of Flexmail, of the Flexmail platform. So if you have any questions during this webinar, feel free to write them in the chat. I probably won't be able to answer all your questions immediately, so I will take the time after the webinar to go over all the questions that you might have. What else? This webinar will take about an hour, and you will receive the recording afterwards. So put everything that can distract you, your inbox, your chat, or anything like that away. I will go fast. I have a lot of examples for you, and I really want to ask you to write everything down that you want to remember or that you want to use for yourself, and that you get the most out of this webinar. Okay, quickly going to change the view to the slides mainly. And my first question to you is, let's see, what makes you open an email from a brand or a company? You're going to see that I will use a lot of English examples, but I do have some Dutch ones as well, because I just want to show you some specific items. If you want, you can use the questions below to quickly have an answer. But the main thing is, for copy to be engaging, it must be something people want to read. So you put hours of effort into writing the perfect email subject line, preview text, body text, only to have your open and click rates fall flat sometimes. So for copy to be engaging, whether it's written for an ad or an email, the first rule is that it must be something people are interested in or want to read. And every good email contains 3 necessary elements. It should have a strong understanding of who the audience is. It should have an attractive headline or subject line, and it should have focused content with a clear goal in mind. So another question I want to ask you, or mainly what I want you to ask yourself, is the general newsletter working for me if you're sending one? So for us, what is a newsletter? I have a couple of examples here, but in a newsletter, you bring news. That is, the purpose of your email is to inform. Your news is your product in this case. And a good example of this are news sites. With the 2 examples on the right, there are serious, there are few images, there are long reads, and you can find links in the text if you want to have more information. The 2 on the left are more screaming information, more color, more images, which give you more sensational feeling, even in the titles. So, and that is a really purposeful choice of them. So what do we see? We still see many companies limiting themselves to a newsletter only, even a one-time newsletter every month, because they're so afraid of being mistaken for spam. This specific newsletters from Retail Detail, they send more emails than one a month, but they're for members only. It's part of the product. This one contains 22 articles each time with news from the sector, which works for them. What we often see, however, is a newsletter crammed with articles with a purpose other than purely informational. So what are the downsides of the general newsletter in that case? You are competing with yourself for attention. The big disadvantage is that your own articles have to compete with each other for the interest of your reader. He has to divide his attention, which at that moment is probably not even fully on your email, over all the various choices in your email. And you also give your own articles a value judgment by their order on the page. The article that is the first in your newsletter will receive the most clicks because you, by presenting it as a first article, you show them, your readers, that that article is most important in your newsletter, and all the other articles are less important. So there's an example of Content King in the image, which is an SEO tool. And they start the email with an introduction with all types of things that can be found in the email. And you see that the first article is really more below, almost below the fold even. So you need to ask yourself, is this inviting my readers to actually scroll down? So how do you know if the general newsletter is working for you? You can open your link map, which you can find in your reports, and it's a visual representation of your email where you will find how many people have actually interacted with that specific article. We do say that it's more interesting to not include more than 5 articles because the 6th, 7th, and 8th article will receive too little attention, and to not let your content compete with each other, because attention is fleeting, and you should ask yourself, is there actually news in this email, or am I talking about other stuff? Also remember that an ugly email that gets your results is also a good email. Design is important, it is an important part of your email, but you should really focus on the results. Also understand that you're not the only one that is sending emails to your recipients, and that your email needs to compete for attention with other emails in the inbox of your reader. So really consider how convincing is my email in different views. Here you see Gmail. What do we see here? We see the sender, we see the subject line, and we see the pre-header. In this case, a lot of, and this is all from the same brand, obviously, with names of images and not really actual interesting text. This means that your reader should decide based on the subject line alone if he's going to open that email. More examples here. You see differences in capital letters, icons, question marks, exclamation marks, even brackets or maybe emojis. So really consider how this will look at a first glance. When you're using Outlook instead of Gmail, you'll see that you have more elements that can persuade your reader to open or even read that email. So you'll also see the sender and the subject line and the pre-header, but you also get to see the preview screen, which shows you the top left corner mainly, or even the entire email at the top. So when you study the anatomy of an email that converts well, you will discover that there's a mesmerizing element embedded. What makes such email capture readers' attention? That's short, punchy copy, bright colors, and a recognizable branding. Also, research shows that people don't read email copy in its entirety. They skim over it. And that's not a bad thing. You can use their skimming to work in your favor. Simply design your email to have blocks of text with attention-grabbing copy and even words in bold. So what can we find in the anatomy of an email? The 3 first things are the sender, the subject, and the pre-header, which we discussed earlier. And then when they open it, the title, the body, and the call to action. These are the parts that we will discuss later on in this webinar and what I will give you tips about. But of course, an email can contain other things like a navigation, a logo, header images, an index, specific offers, other images, a footer, social media icons. But that's more about design and less about copy. Okay? So always remember, you're writing for the web, which is a specific medium and that should require specific attention from you. Remember that people don't read. So what is important to you is that you want to draw your reader in and never let them go. Once the first block hooks them in, Curiosity will demand that they will follow each scene you create with your copy until they get to the most important part of your plot, which is the call to action. Your emails need to represent your brand in the best possible light, so really rewrite and revise each email until it says exactly what you want to communicate, and nothing more and nothing less. Will every single subscriber open and convert on your email? No, but that's not the case. That's not the case for any business owner that I know. However, you can increase your conversion rates for your emails by following these email copywriting tips and tricks that I will show you. So before you start writing anything, really ask yourself, what is the goal of this email? And remember, you're always selling something. That could be an idea, that could be information, or a specific action to take. So what are possible goals? That could be you want to inform, you want to welcome new contacts, you want them to reply, you want them to subscribe to something, to register for an event or a webinar, you want them to read an article, want them to download something, to buy something, or even more soft goals like use your product more, use your products better, collect feedback, improve engagement, or maybe log in. So with that goal, start with your call to action. What do you want people to do here? So the golden tip is to write with the end in mind. Start with your goal and your call to action and work back to the beginning. You want to arrive at your call to action with your reader actually convinced. So let's really zoom into that call to action. And know that one call to action is often better than more different ones. So that way you can avoid selection stress or choice paralysis, and you really let them know what's going to happen. You want to make it simple and use active words that are specific, and always know that a button that says read more doesn't invoke emotion. So it can be tempting to fill an email with multiple call to actions in the hopes that at least one will resonate with your subscribers enough to get them to click something. But the truth is, if you give your subscribers too many links and buttons to click, they probably won't click any of them. Your copy should just be simple, and you should include a single call to action that clearly states what you want your readers to do. Don't beat around the bush. Your readers don't really have time for that. So I have a couple of specific examples, like register or register now if you really want to invoke the urgency there. Save your seat or subscribe. Try now for free. Let's get started. Become a member now. Shop now. Or if you can go longer if you want. Shop our bestsellers. Order now, pay later. Order now, delivered for Christmas. Download your free checklist, why that matters to you, show me my results, save 40%, or use code 123 for your welcome discount. It's really specific. If you click on this link or on this call to action, you really know what's going to happen in the next step on the next landing page. I have an example here. It's a Dutch example, but the copy doesn't really matter in this case. It's from Venditio. I don't know who the sender is. I shouldn't be on their mailing list. I even think they bought my email address somewhere. And why am I getting this, and what are we seeing here? So you get a subject line that says personal invitation for the launch of ... That ... isn't there because the subject line is too long. That's just part of the copy here. This is really aimed at parents of adolescents. I have a daughter of 2, so I'm not really part of the audience. I don't really know why I'm getting this email. And if you look on the right to the design of this email, you'll see that the logo of the sender is actually at the bottom, which isn't really interesting because I don't know who's sending this. There's some information on the book launch, some big images, and then at the bottom you see 3 red bars. In this email, those are actually the call to action. So let's zoom in there. What are they saying here? The first one reads, yes, I want to follow the book launch live starting at 9:30 and I want to subscribe. The second one says, "Oops, I'm not available, but really send me a copy, and remember to mention your address in the reply. Thank you." And the third one reads, "For quick decision makers, there are free tickets. Give us a call." That's way too much information in those call to action. No one's going to read that. And even people that really skim over the email and aren't really reading won't even know that these are call to actions because they go over the entire width of the email. So really don't do this. Go for short call to actions that really state what's going to happen, but not in the same detail that is given here. Okay, so the right combination should make your call to action irresistible. That's really important. And a good tactic to follow here is using the reverse pyramid method, where you start with grabbing the attention with a big headline or a big image, build anticipation with your copy for them to arrive at the call to action when they are ready to really take that action. A good example is this one from the Telegraph. That's really on topic, very current, very promotional as well. But what is interesting is a call to action here. They tell you start free trial instead of buy now, which is a softer call to action, and really to encourage people to click. If you ask them to buy now, they expect to having to pay immediately without even getting the chance to discover the product beforehand. Okay, so a strong subject line will get you more opens. So write at least 15 examples of subject lines for your every email. If you can, even 25. So continue on previous versions and make variations to really allow yourself to take enough time to do this and to experiment with specific wordings of the same subject line. Why is that important? The first block should hook them, as I told you previously, and that first block is a subject line. Curiosity will then demand your reader to follow each scene you create with your copy until they get to the call to action. So your subject line is a headline equivalent for your email copy. If it isn't relevant or interesting and doesn't inspire your readers to take action, they won't open the email. So for your subject line, consider length. That could be important. Word choice as well. Put the most important information first. Make sure it's personal, so it talks to your readers instead of about you, and see it as a promise. Can you make them curious? And the promise is your subject line, and you deliver on that promise with the copy that is inside the email. So let's look at the example from Wistia, which I have here. The subject line says webinar replay with square brackets. Sorry we missed you. You don't even need the sorry we missed you in this case as a reader, because it's really obvious what is going to be in this email. It's going to be a replay of a webinar that you didn't attend. Okay. If you look at the copy of this email, you see that they used that reverse pyramid tactic with a clear title, an image with a button that encourages you to click, and a clear call to action that says watch now. Okay. So what also can be interesting is to apply a A/B testing on your subject line. Length does matter in this case, and you can do better than newsletter December 2021. So really test different kinds and maybe even try to use a multiple or single proposition. Going to show you an example of that later on. Just consider that your recipient get a bunch of emails every day. So don't go stand there in the inbox with a boring newsletter June 2021, and you really can do better. So experiment with personalization. Is there a video in it? Can you talk about that? Can you play with punctuation, brackets, capital letters, song lyrics, emojis, or maybe put a question in there for a change? So in general, it's better to be clear than to be mysterious, but it doesn't mean you should be boring. So whatever you do, set aside some extra time to test multiple variations of your topic. That way you can optimize in real time based on what works for this particular email and your target audience. So what can you test? For example, a short one versus a long subject line. For example, all jeans 25% off until Friday, or denim days, only this week 25% off all jeans, to see what works better for your audience. A single proposition or more. First one is a single proposition. Don't forget your free pencil case about one single thing. And the second one is back to school, lots of new articles and deals for your child, which tells me that there will be multiple promos in this specific email. Maybe get to the point or try to be more playful. So new open spots for summer camps versus good things come to those who wait. For example, this email from Plansome, they want you to fill in a survey on how your new products are being liked in your family. And the subject line is, and what did you think? Did we do good? With an emoji of a plant. Besides the subject line, you can also use a preview text, and that's the first text an email client finds in your email. It can reinforce your subject line, and you can try to be relevant or intriguing, but it needs to bring something to your subject line. So you can use that short snippet to give your subscribers a good idea of what's in the email, and if it's relevant and intriguing enough for them, they'll probably open. In some views, it won't be shown, but most of them, like Outlook, Gmail, Apple Mail, they will really display that pre-header. But really make sure your subject line is understandable if the pre-header isn't shown. So it's a pity if you waste that space of that pre-header by just saying that there is a web version if the email isn't being displayed properly, or if you just repeat your subject line. So how can you do this? Because email clients render this automatically. That isn't a problem. You can overrule that default email client setting with your text version. So when you create a text version of your email, which you can do automatically in Flexmail, you can just type in at the first, really at the beginning of your text version, what you want to be displayed as a pre-header, and then that text will be shown. So we've talked about the preview text, we've talked about the subject line, and a little bit about the sender. But how do you build up your actual copy in your email? I have a couple of tips for you that I really want to discuss. The first one is that you shift from we to you. And that's really important. And I really want to ask you to really test this out, to train yourself by actually doing it. So I have an exercise. If we would be doing this in a classical setting, I would really ask you to prepare something and that we could discuss it. But this is an exercise that you can try on your own. If you want me to have a look at what you've created, you can always send it to me at michelle@flexmail.be. But the exercise is to write an email and pretend you're a software tool to send personalized holiday cards to your family. Find an interesting angle to reach that audience and write your sales email. Quickly going to give you a minute to think about this, and then I'll show you what I've come up with. So let's have a look. This is what I've come up with. You can start with a logo, and then as a subject line and as a title, I've used this year, give your Nana what she really wants to receive. You can add an image here, and then as a body text. Do you usually not get any further than a pair of socks or a picture frame as a gift? Bombard yourself to the position of favorite grandchild by getting her something she really likes. All your family members put together their wish list, redraw your gifts, and you order them from your personalized shopping list. And then as a call to action, instead of log in, I've said invite your family, as that would be the first step I would ask them to do once they log in. And then I've added 3 different USPs to really reinforce the call to action here, which are buy local, with X you support local businesses, fun at every party, birth list, secret Santa, we love to party with you, and X works everywhere, including the iPhone 7 of Uncle Joe. So when you write an email, make sure you always have something relevant to say. That should be relevant to your audience, of course, and really show them you understand them by really thinking about what are the questions that they could have right now, what are maybe even pain points or questions they have about your product or your service. So for the body text, you really need to write to a single person. Remember that email is a private and personal medium. You're really talking one-to-one, and include words like me and you. Never use any jargon and focus on pain points or specific benefits, and make good on that promise that you've made in your subject line. And also remember that too much redundant text won't get read. So choose your words carefully, keeping in line with the conversational tone. Use the words you, your quite a bit as you go about your email copywriting. This will let your readers know that the email is about them and not you. You'll also want to focus on the benefits of what you're offering rather than features. When you talk about features, focus is on you, on your company and your product. When you talk about benefits for your user or your customer, the focus is on how your product or service can enrich the lives of your subscribers. So talking about benefits instead of features centers the email around your subscribers rather than your company, and that's exactly what readers want to see in their inbox. So welcome emails are also an excellent opportunity to start things on the right foot. Some couple of other tips. Get straight to the point, let your subscribers know what's up, how you're ready to help, and what you want them to do. Only include one ID per paragraph and create lots of white space and other visual cues like lists, lines, bullet points, and breathing space as well. If you're including images, make sure there are strong ones that really reinforce the message that you want to send them. Social proof like testimonials can work really well. And why you should break up your copy also with lots of white space is that huge blocks of text will send readers running for the back button. Use bulleted lists, short sentences and questions as needed to get your point across. Good. So for everything that you're reading, you never want your reader to say, good for you, but how does that help me? That's the question every prospect asks themselves when they receive an email like this. I have a really good example of this, which is from Dollar Shave Club. So there isn't any self-centered copy or something like that, and they really focus on the value for your potential customers. Well, that they will get from using your product. They even just do it with the image. So what is a problem that your product will help them solve? Put yourself in the shoes of your target audience and think about what they are struggling with or what they want to achieve. And then address the problem right away. In this case, it's shaving can be a costly affair, and they do offer a solution, the same or better quality for a third of the competitor's price. Okay. So how can you apply that now, even on your website? It doesn't even have to be in an email. Find a place where you're really talking about your business and switch the spotlight to your customers and try to rewrite that specific bit. Another example is from Curious here. As you can see, they use your or you 9 times in just 2 paragraphs, but that's not really the point. Even check just the first sentence. Even though this email is automated, it seems more personal because the focus is on the recipient and it describes what's in it for the recipient. Another tip that you can apply is that you want to highlight what makes you unique. So do your customers know what you stand for? Do you have any recurring themes that you can talk about and that you can talk about regularly as well? What will your readers get to know you for? Things like environment, unique offerings, themes that you find important, favorite food values that you hold, etc. And these are the topics that you'll pick up or revisit often and what people will know you for as well. I have 2 examples of this. The first one is BarkBox, which is a subscription for pet products. They use funny copy, word puns, even cartoons and stuff like that to really make their message fun and personal. The second one, which is in Dutch, but is a photographer, whose USP is that she creates photos, or she takes photos where you, as a woman or as a mom, are also represented on. And that's something that she uses in her emails, on her website copy, everywhere that she's writing or applying text. There's a quick question in the chat: personal emails or not? If you can, really include personal emails, and I'm going to show you specific examples later on. So should we send personal emails like dear XY or just say hello? It's interesting to include personalization codes like that, but I will show you some examples. So don't write like a robot. We'll get to personalization now. So keep it really simple. Do remember that warm copy is not unprofessional. So do use correct spelling and grammar, of course, but write like a normal person. Avoid big words, jargon, technical explanation, and specs. And cater to those specific skimmers. Make sure that you catch their eye with visual cues, bullets and lists, cool titles and white space, words in bold. And the PS is something that's also interesting to apply to see if that works for your reader, because that's something that is really read. So for salutations like dear XYZ, that doesn't really necessarily make your emails more personal if the rest of your copy isn't personal at all. So maybe think about if there are any better places to use that first name, or even in the subject line. But if you don't have the first name, know that dear customer at the start of your email sounds very businessy, and it's even interesting to just leave that out, the salutation entirely. And also, if you can feel that, dear Michelle versus hi Michelle has a very different feeling when you're reading an email. Or this is why I think that matters to you, Michelle, gives you another sense of personalization and gives you another sense of, they really are talking to me directly. Make sure it's relevant, and that you segment your audiences. So, for example, if you just learned about a cool new video game, would you call or message everyone in your contacts to tell them about it? No, you only contact the people who care about video games. So likewise, you shouldn't send the same email to all of your subscribers. Creating general emails for your entire list won't resonate with anyone, and they certainly won't convert. In fact, if you're still sending general email blasts, now is the time to retire that email marketing tactic. Instead, break your subscriber list into segments based on what they've clicked in the past, age groups, shopping habits, when they signed up, and other factors that make sense for your industry or your brand. And spend time getting to know your audience, and email copywriting will get a lot easier because you'll already know what that they want. So I have a couple of examples. This one is from Airbnb. Is super personalized to provide suggestions based on the reader's travel destination. Of course, they do this because they want to sell more to every single customer. But this email copywriting example shows that just a little information can go a long way. You know where they're heading, and you just give them personalized tips to get the most out of their trip. Another example is from Asana, which is a planning tool. The headline reads, see your next big deadline, with a clear call to action: view calendar, which would be a new feature in this case. And they really show that they know their audience well and what they find important. I have another example, which is in Dutch, which is a offering to young parents for their first ski trip with little kids. It doesn't matter if the copy is Dutch. I really want to show you that they talk about the offering and what that they do, and one clear call to action, but the email is longer than this. So if people aren't ready at this point to buy a trip, they give other examples with bullet points, which is interesting, these types of lists, and they put the most important words in bold to catch the eye of those skimmers. The only thing that I would say here, if you're not ready to click at the start of the email and you read this and your interest is piqued, it could be interesting to add another call to action at the bottom of the email, just to the same page even. Okay. Another example is from Bookspot, which is a Belgian competitor for Amazon even maybe, so they sell books online. And as you read the subject line, you can see that they include almost all the topics of the newsletter in the subject line and in the pre-header. Cooking Bibles for a promo, a new book, a day deal, which would be the biography of Cancellara, discounts on ebooks, and some other book titles. When you look at the email, you'll see that there are a lot of different offerings just to attract readers, basically, because people aren't going to buy from every single niche or like thrillers or cooking books. So just to zoom in on the email, you see that there's a lot of information going on here as well. So for Bookspot, when you want to update your preferences, you get to choose what type of emails you want to receive. Weekly tips, day deals, Black Friday promos with 10 surprising deals, and important updates and service emails. This is cool that you ask them how many emails that they want to get, because then you don't have to be afraid to send too much email because they've specifically asked to receive them. But I want to apply a quick exercise. How could we make this more personal? So the second exercise is come up with a more personal approach for Bookspot, which with such a big offering that they have, how can you make sure you send relevant promos to your recipients? And what could that email look like? I'll just give you a minute to let that sink in and to think about it before I show you what I've come up with. I do see that we have a question here. Would it be possible to get the presentation too? Yes, just you'll get an email, an automated email that with the link to the recording here. Just reply to that email and I'll send you the slides as well. So really have a think about this exercise for a moment. Okay, ready? So the approach I went for is to ask myself what types of books are bought by specific readers that where people are more likely to buy books in that specific niche as well. So I've taken a specific audience in mind, which are readers of thrillers, because I feel like they are more likely to buy new items once they've read something in that same niche as well. So I decided to center my email around Halloween and offer a discount and use to copy creepy deals for real horror fans. And then as an intro, because we know you don't get goosebumps from the average romance novel, we've assembled the best upcoming talents and unknown gems for you. Shiver with our selection of thrillers, horror, sci-fi, and young adult books. This week only take advantage of an additional 30% discount. Use code Halloween during checkout. And then as a call to action, discover our selection. Something that you could apply as well to make this shift from we to you is to just say discover your selection instead of our. Okay. So another couple of examples, one in Dutch, one in English. The first one is from Live Comedy, where you can buy concert tickets, tickets of comedians and stuff like that. And the first paragraph or the first topic or article in this email is about a pretty well-known comedian here, with some information about the show. And then they include these blue links that you see, which talks about the different cities that the tour is will be visiting and where you can register for. Then there's another link. The complete playlist can be found on livecomedy.be, and then a call to action, complete playlist, which is a bit of a shame because all those links are a bit double or duplicate. You could really leave out that last paragraph and just include a call to action to all the cities that he will tour. So really consider that the goal of this email is to get me to buy a ticket, and really consider yourself, is this the best way to do this? And really scrutinize your own emails like this as well. They include other shows if you're not interested in this specific comedian, in order to get you to click on something, of course. And I have another example here from emails, which is a food subscription. And how do they convince their audience? They really know what this audience finds important. So what is a copy about? Fewer calories, but not less flavor. It's still tasty. You will still get results. Are you convinced? Here's a discount if you order now. So the people at emails really know what's important to their target audience, which is food. And they respond very well to possible objections that you might have. So they even have a keto-friendly plan. They have low-carb meals. They have vegetarian meals. They include the promo in the different call to actions, and they even include a testimonial from someone that is using the product. It's a great sales email. So I have some, because we're nearing the end of the presentation, I have some final tips for copy that isn't boring. Make sure that you always read your text aloud. So do you feel that something doesn't feel right? So your topic is right, your sentences are correct, but you can't really put your finger on it? Then that's good that you know this, because you're aware that there's a problem, and now you can make it better. And you can apply this to emails, to website text, brochures, anything. So are you ready? Try to feel if you're skipping bits or if there are some elements that sound boring, and really rewrite the following 5 things. Try to avoid cliches in your text, redundant words, ambiguous or vague descriptions. So if you're asking yourself, what are you really saying here? That's something that you need to make more specific. Pretentious words and passive voice. I have some examples of the cliches and the redundancy to really get this across. So, for example, what are cliches? Because everyone knows them and uses them, they don't really stand out. They do what they're supposed to do. But cliches are like t-shirts that have been in the wash 1,000 times. They're comfortable, but they're colorless. And if you want vibrant copy, you need to come up with something more original. So examples of cliches are the seats are limited. It's raining cats and dogs, or you've come to the right place for the best advice. With our customer-friendly service, we offer solutions tailored to you. Well, I hope that those solutions are tailored to me, and I also hope that your service is customer-friendly. People really expect this. This is not something that will make your copy stand out. Other examples are, we're happy to assist you, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the customer is king, we are your partner for, we're always ready for you. What is always? Can you make that more specific? Are you available 24/7? Is there a specific number I can call? And so on. So Another example is at Keymaker Janssen, you're at the right place for quick duplication of your keys. You're at the right place, really cliche. You can also just say, duplicating your key, they're ready before your behind can hit the seat in our waiting room. You can say the same thing, but you're not using a combination of words that is so obvious to people that they won't get noticed. I have a specific example from HelloFresh. It's in Dutch, but I'll try to translate. Our Christmas boxes are flying out the door. Look at the menu, make sure you're ready. A little extra text then. Order today, don't wait too long, out is out, and then happy holidays, look at the menu. They're a little bit of, they are really exaggerating with the cliches of urgency. 1 or 2 is really enough. Okay. And then for redundancy, scratch every word that isn't necessary. Words like actually, maybe, aiding words like shall, can, should, you may, want, or you're going to, and so on. A little, really, about, so, at the same time, very, still, often, sometimes, usually, eventually, more or less. Your sentence will also be very clear if you just leave these types of words out. Okay? And then I really want to finish with the 10 S's. You'll see that not every word starts with an S. I translated this from Dutch, but I really want to get the point across here. So stop with what you're doing and try to steal from examples that fit your brands and are not actually written by you. Suspend or stop writing if you're not feeling like it. Spit it out. Just start writing. Doesn't matter if it's correct at the first try, just so to get you going. Structurize your text, maybe even with a mind map. Spin words around to see if other orders are also interesting. Sleep on it, speak it aloud, or let other people read your text and then send it out. Okay, so always remember that good copy is clear, it's simple, and it's convincing. And then to finish, really, the best tip that I can give you is to revise each email until it says exactly what you want it to communicate. Nothing more and nothing less. Okay. So do you have any questions? Is there anything that stuck out today to you? Is there something you'd like to share yourself? Are there other topics that you want us to discuss in future webinars? You can let me know in the chat. I do want to thank you all to stick around to the end and to take the time to subscribe to this webinar, to register for this webinar as well. Do you have any other questions about copy or email marketing that I can help you with? Is it possible to have the support of today? Do you mean the presentation or recording? Yes, it will be sent to you automatically. You will get the recording and you can write to me or just reply to that email and I'll send you the presentation, the slides as well. Definitely. Great. Thank you, Gauthier. Really, I can't thank you enough to join us today. I hope you have a great Christmas as well. And if you have any other questions, you can also send me an email at michelle@flexmail.be or to support@flexmail.be. If you want us to have a look at the next email that you're about to send, you can also send it to me and I'll have a quick look with you as well. Thank you very, very much. And I wish you a great afternoon. Bye.